Hey everyone, Wandering Bard here, and this is the story of my first ever live stream of a hardcore Pokemon Nuzlocke challenge. For those of you who don't know what this is, a Pokemon Nuzlocke challenge is not only a way to add a level of difficulty to Pokemon, but also a fun way to make your own narrative out of a generally formulaic game series. I've done a few of these on handheld Gen 3 games and I've struggled with them a lot, but for this video I did a challenge with my favorite ever Pokemon game, Pokemon Colosseum. Surely, if there was ever a game I could Nuzlocke on my first try, it should be this one. I'm gonna get into the challenge rules in a moment, but first I need to talk about this game. If you're familiar with Pokemon Colosseum, you already know it's very much a departure from the usual series formula. Colosseum is set in the Aura region, where a criminal syndicate named Cypher has developed methods to steal Pokemon from trainers and close the doors to their hearts. If you watched the Pokemon Forever movie as a kid with that guy who was trying to turn Celebi evil using a Dark Ball, similar concept. The resulting Shadow Pokemon are fighting machines that Cypher wants to use to take over the world. So, in this game you're not a starry-eyed kid taking on the gym challenge, you actually used to be the bad guy's best snagger. Now, with a stolen snag machine, your goal is to take back the Shadow Pokemon from Cypher, open their hearts again, and bring down evil. A nice concept, but it does require some changes to the challenge rules. The usual rules for the Nuzlocke challenge are on the screen right now. You can only catch the first Pokemon you meet in each area, you have to nickname your Pokemon to get more attached to them, and if a Pokemon faints, it's permanently dead and you cannot use it ever again. Some people, such as myself, like to add additional hardcore rules, those being, you have to play on set mode, you can't use items in battle, although held items are okay, and you can't overlevel past the gym leader's ace Pokemon. In this challenge, encounters are already limited by the Shadow Pokemon list. In this game you have 2 starter Pokemon, a gift Plusle from Duking, and 48 Shadow Pokemon, for a total of 51 encounters. Before you say that's too many though, 6 of those encounters only appear during the Tower Colosseum, which is this game's equivalent of the Elite Four. So, while there's no rule against me catching them, I can't really use them unless I bring less than a full party into the Colosseum, in which case I'm likely hosed anyway. Another 6 only appear during the post-game, and I'm banning legendary Pokemon, so that's another 3 taken off. In total, I'm left with 36, a much more reasonable number. I'm also banning repeat encounters, so for people that I can battle more than once, such as anybody in Duel Square, if I kill their Shadow Pokemon the first time I fight them, I cannot catch that Shadow Pokemon ever again. I've officially killed that encounter. Nicknames have to be given as soon as possible, that still applies, permadeath still applies, and this game is all double battle, so we're already on set mode. Itemness is still mostly the same, however, we run into an interesting rule situation with the game's call mechanic. For those of you not familiar, when trying to use their signature move, Shadow Rush, Shadow Pokemon will sometimes go into an emotional state worthy of a hangry Morpeko. We call it Hyper Mode. In Hyper Mode they can only use Shadow Rush, but their critical hit ratio is increased. If I spend their turn calling them by name, they'll snap out of it and their heart gauge will go down, making this an essential step for purification. However, since you have it available on a stick, it's easy to abuse for PP stalling. So, I've ruled that I'm only allowed to use Call for its legitimate in-game purposes. I can snap a Pokemon out of Hyper Mode, and I can use it to wake up a sleeping Pokemon, but I can't abuse it on a stick. Finally, for overleveling, I'll be using Cypher's admins and NASCAR as the level caps because there's no gym leaders. Alright, let's get started. I named the avatar Locke. Yes, partly as a play on this being a Nuzlocke, but also after one of my favorite Final Fantasy VI characters, Locke Cole. The game starts with me blowing up the hideout of my old buddies, Team Snag'em, and stealing their snag machine. We battle this guy at the gas station and then make our way to Phoenix City, where we see these 2 goons trying to make off with some girl they captured. So, we beat up Folly's Whismur and rescue her. Because we named ourselves after Locke Cole, it only seems fitting to name the girl after Locke Cole's love interest, Celeste. Celeste tells the mayor a story about some Pokemon she saw with a black aura around it, and then some people from Team Snag'em try to take back the snag machine, after which Celeste has a brilliant idea.
Listen, Locke, we should go shopping for some Pokeballs. Yeah, so this is the only plot point in the game that I think is super spaghetti. Like, she sees that we have a machine that can steal... Aw, thanks, Joes. Like, she sees that we have a machine that can steal Pokemon from people, and her first thought is, we should get Pokeballs. Like, why is that your first thought?
Anyway, we get some Pokeballs from the gas station and come back to find those 2 goons are from before are back, along with this sweet piece of hair, and this time Trudley gets involved. He sends in a Makuhita, which turns out to be the Pokemon Celeste was telling the mayor about, and at her encouragement, we steal it from Trudley using the snag machine. For context, this is a Shadow Pokemon. Outside the mayor's house, we get to select one of the evolved Gen 2 starter Pokemon as an encounter. I choose Quilava because we'll have a few water and grass type encounters upcoming, so I will need a good fire type. The guy with the Quilava tells us what Shadow Pokemon are, which gives us some insight as to how to open their hearts. It's mostly just the same mechanics as friendship grinding in most games, just now we have Call thrown in. Anyway, we chase Mirror B, the guy with the Pokeball head, to Pyrite Town, where we have one of the most stressful experiences of the entire run. Every single person in this square has a Shadow Pokemon, and catching them was incredibly nerve-wracking, mainly because this is one of the few Pokemon games where the power level of the Pokemon you're catching is above your own. My two starters are in the late 20s level-wise. These are level 30. Yeah, I have level 30 Shadow Pokemon, but their only attacking move is the one that can waste turns triggering Hyper Mode, while my opponents don't worry about that. At all. In addition, they all seem to have teammate Pokemon who are getting setup strats going, which is terrifying. There were multiple times in this whole sequence where I risked a critical hit to try and get a catch, or a kill. Amazingly, I went unpunished every time, and caught a bunch of choice encounters who I will certainly be using later. Quagsire, Skiploom, Flaaffy, and this Noctowl who literally had me down to my last ball trying to catch. Not fun. Eventually, I talk to this guy Kale after stealing his ferret, and he tells us that Mirror B is giving away Shadow Pokemon to Colosseum winners. So, with help from the manager Duking, we enter the Pyrite Colosseum, win, and get inside Mirror B's building. We fight our way through a whole bunch of thugs until we reach the top, where we find Mirror B's henchwomen, Wreath and Firma, awaiting us. Oh, also, this guy Silva is here. He's a friend of Duking's and he got beaten up. Sad. Wreath goes first, and while I wouldn't say she was difficult, she's not the pushover that Trudley or Folly was either. The main problem is that Firma challenges me immediately after, so I don't get to heal, and Firma is a lot tougher. Umbreon came in pretty clutch in this battle by stealing setup moves from her Pokemon with Snatch. The problem is, her Mantine is a beast and it hits me pretty hard in retaliation. I'm trying to be gentle with it so I can catch it, but ultimately tragedy strikes.
Come on, block it. Okay, double me. Oh, no! Oh, man. Ferret.
Yep, first death of the run. Looking at the 6 that I brought in, Ferret was the one that I could most afford to lose, but it still stinks to lose a Pokemon. We're able to pull together and catch Mantine, but now I have to put Ferret in the box forever. I'm sorry, buddy. Mirror B is waiting for us in this cave, so I steal a Quillfish from the guy guarding the cave entrance. Right before reaching Mirror B's room, I get a Swablu as well. I grind up levels on Espeon and Umbreon to reach the level cap of 35, and I grind up movesets on Swablu and Quillfish before taking him on. This is the team that I used for the battle. For context, his first 4 Pokemon are Ludicolo, so I'm prioritizing Flying-type Pokemon for those, and then I have Skiploom and Quillfish to deal with the Sudowoodo in the back. The battle goes pretty smoothly. Noctowl and Swablu both know Fly, so they're pretty efficient at dealing with Ludicolo. One of them knew Dive though, which messed up my timing a bit, and Swablu got smacked pretty hard. So, as they reset up their Rain Dance, I swap in Espeon, who sets up a Reflect. Noctowl kills another Ludicolo, but then Sudowoodo comes out, who's Rock type, so I need to get Noctowl out of there. I swap her for Quillfish as Espeon kills the last Ludicolo, then swap Espeon for Skiploom. Together, they're able to wear down the Sudowoodo, put it to sleep, and I catch it. First admin defeated. Fatine, the fortune teller of Pyrite Town, tells us the secret to purification is up north, in Agate Village, which is where Celeste's grandparents live. As soon as we get there, though, per my rules, I have to go to the Name Raider to nickname Espeon and Umbreon. Since I named myself and my companion after Final Fantasy characters, I choose to continue the theme for the rest of the run. I named Espeon Reigns, and I nicknamed the Umbreon Prince Noctis. Then I go to meet Celeste's grandparents, but there's trouble. See, deep within the forest of this village, there's a relic that houses the power of Celebi, which, hey, Pokemon forever, anyone? Once a Shadow Pokemon's heart gauge is empty, the relic allows them to recall their fondest memories and be purified. Unfortunately, the bad guys have figured that out too, so a group of them, led by Cypher P and Scrub, are here to destroy it. Scrub can actually be pretty scary. His Shadow Hitmontop is level 38, which is far above most of my Pokemon, but the real danger is his Wynaut, which has Shadow Tag and Destiny Bond. So I need a plan for how to deal with these. The only good news here is that Wynaut has no attacking moves, so I can deal with Scrub's Pokemon one at a time, but I'm still at risk to lose a Pokemon here. I end up leading with Reigns and Skiploom because both of them resist stab fighting type moves. I smack Hitmontop with a side beam, which did risk me losing that encounter to a crit, but I needed to wear it down quickly. Then I had Skiploom put to sleep with Sleep Powder. That lets me catch Hitmontop, and Sleep Powder starts to let me deal with the Wynaut pretty easily as well. As a note though, Wynaut is exactly why I banned the use of Call on a Stick. Otherwise, I could easily PP stall Destiny Bomb by just calling, which wouldn't be very fair. With Scrub out of the way, I'm finally able to purify and nickname my Pokemon. Terra, Nabat, Aerith, Rydia, Lonnie, and Reno. We get word that the bad guys are attacking this Mount Battle place, among whom is the next admin, Dakim. His level cap is 40, so we have some grinding to do. Unfortunately, I take a few more losses here. I took a stupid risk on killing some Pokemon in a Colosseum battle that didn't pay off and results in Reno dying, but then I wildly underestimate how powerful Kale's Grand Bull is during a rematch, which causes me to lose Aerith the Jumpluff. That one really stunk. Not only was Aerith a valued member of the team, but I had spent almost all of the TMs I'd gotten from grinding the Fnatic Colosseum on this little guy only to lose it. Reigns came out and destroyed the Grand Bull out of vengeance, but that was the first loss that really hurt. Now, Final Fantasy fans everywhere will have to hope that Katase's fanfiction, I mean the Final Fantasy VII Remake, can do what I can't and keep Aerith alive. I got Scrub's Hitmontop out of the box, purified it, and named it Rude. Rude has Intimidate, which is amazing for Nuzlocke, and I'll need a fighting type Pokemon for later. We get our party up to level 40 and then take on Dakim. Most of his party is weak to water type, so I lead with Terra and Lonnie. Unfortunately, his Metang outspeeds and lands a really strong Psychic on Lonnie, which would have killed on a crit. I'm able to outspeed and kill his front Pokemon next turn, but I need to swap in Rydia after that. Not long after, Entei comes out, which is terrifying! Even with all of my Pokemon at the level cap, this thing has way too high of stats, so it's a monster to deal with. Thankfully, Entei misses his first Fire Blast as I spam sleep setups on it. It hits another one, but even on a crit, I would have been just fine. Entei falls asleep, and per my rules, I have to kill it. Which is fine, because the thing's way too hard to catch anyway. It turns out Dakim was here beating up this area leader, Vander, because he has a Time Flute. He gives me the flute for rescuing him, which is huge. The Time Flute is an amazing item that can summon Celebi itself, which instantly purifies any Shadow Pokemon regardless of how their heart gauge is progressing. There are only 3 such items in the entire game, and one of them is at the top of Mount Battle, which, for reasons pertaining to my level caps, I won't be able to reach, so I'm definitely saving this for someone special. Post-Dakim is where the difficulty really drops in my opinion. For one thing, we get access to the Under, which has a very well-stocked TM shop. Additionally, we can now buy cologne massages in Agate Village, which are an alternate way to boost friendship and purify Shadow Pokemon without battling. Most importantly though, we get access to Mount Battle, which is a perfect training ground for my Pokemon. Mount Battle gives you battles with trainers of basically every level, so I can level grind a lot more efficiently than before. Additionally, clearing each area gives me Poke Coupons, which I can exchange for some choice prizes including rare TMs like Ice Beam and Flamethrower. I take the opportunity to prepare a team for the next boss fight, which waits for me in the Under. Venus's level cap is 45, and her team is pretty manageable, as long as I get some of my box Pokemon up to level. Introducing Waka the eventually turned Hariyama, Yuna the Mantine, and Lightning the now Ampharos. I lead the Venus fight with Lightning and Waka. Venus leads with Delcatty and Steelix, and I know for a fact that the Steelix has Earthquake. So I thought it'd be funny to bait out Earthquake with Lightning and then swap in Altaria who takes no damage from it just to make Delcatty suffer. But instead she goes for Double Attract, which is not optimal. Waka also misses 2 cross chops in a row and then gets crit by Earthquake and almost dies. Yeah, that wasn't a fun time. Thankfully though, he doesn't die and Noctis is able to kill Delcatty. And Banette. We do a lot of switching in this battle as we try to read Earthquakes and Rock Slides from Steelix, but it just goes for Attract and Taunt most of the time, so it doesn't pose much of a threat. Eventually, Reigns brings down her Vileplume with a crit Psybeam, and Terra kills the Steelix and the Suicune, winning us the battle. From there, we chase Venus into the subway, where there are some choice encounters lined up. Gligar, Stantler, Piloswine, and this Sneasel that I killed with Earthquake. In my defense, it was late at night and I was tired, and I'm not fussed about Sneasel anyway. We also gain access to the Shadow Pokemon Lab where the last admin awaits us, Ein, the boss who haunted me as a kid. And he has a very strong team, which is why I need Piloswine. I added him to the team and named him Snowvilliers. There aren't many Shadow Pokemon in the lab that I actually care about, and unfortunately this Shadow Fortress kills itself with recoil damage before I can get it to stay in the ball. Immediately after that, we're challenged by this guy whose Ariados hits very hard with Sludge Bomb. Normally this would be fine as I have 2 ground types in my party, but then he sends out a Grovyle, which ruins that plan completely. My one flying type was wounded pretty badly by Sludge Bomb also, so I'm in a tricky position and end up making a bad decision. Let me explain. In Pokemon, it is often the case that Pokemon who resist a certain type will also do super effective damage to that type. For example, Water-type Pokemon resist Fire-type moves, and Water-type moves are super effective against Fire-type Pokemon, as they would be. But it doesn't always work like that. For example, Flying Pokemon are immune to Ground-type moves, but they don't do super effective damage to Ground-type Pokemon. I knew all of this already. The problem is that I don't use Psychic-type Pokemon very often in my Nuzlocke. I'm used to Ruby and Sapphire, where Psychic types are A, pretty rare, and B, get counterpicked by half the Elite Four and the Champion, so I don't use them. So while I knew that Psychic moves were super effective against the Poison type, I didn't know that Psychic Pokemon don't resist Poison type moves. So I swapped in Rains, expecting him to resist Sludge Bomb, and he didn't. That's not good. I swapped Noctis in on Grovyle because I thought it would use Leaf Blade, which it should know at this level. Looking at the situation now though, if I'd reversed the positions of my 2 Pokemon here, I would have been just fine. I was really starting to think that I'd need to kill Ariados here, just because I wasn't in a position where I could safely catch it. Rains could probably outspeed and kill it, but then Grovyle would kill Rains, which would not be ideal. So I swapped in Snow to read another Sludge Bomb. Or, I tried to. You have Pursuit? No? Rains? No! I'd like to say that my choice to kill the Ariados here was motivated by my not wanting to risk another Pokemon, but that would be a downright lie. Noctis destroyed the Grovyle not long after, so I really wasn't in danger anymore. I was just salty and wanted revenge. Rains is literally my favorite Pokemon in this entire challenge, and I lost him to a Pursuit Trap. If this had happened earlier in the Nuzlocke, I might have seriously considered resetting. But, as Snowvilliers reminded me, we've come too far to quit now. Oops, sorry, wrong game. But nevertheless, we had to carry on, so I regrouped and buried my beloved Espeon. Gone, but not forgotten. The only good thing that happened in the lab was that I did catch the Vibrava that appears later on. I used a Time Flute and a couple of rare candies to help her reach her beautiful final form. I named her Fang. After that, it's about time for Ein. I know Ein loves to use Confused Ray, so I spent some time farming for Person Berries from the Berry Man at Agate Village. I also continue to grind up my Pokemon to his level cap of 48. But as I'm working on that, I get hit by Perish Song, followed by a Mean Look from this Mischievous, and I completely forget that the effects of Mean Look end when the Pokemon who used it is dead, so I lose both Lightning and Snow, which is really bad. Both of them were going to be part of my strategy for Ein since I expected him to lead with his Golbat in Altaria. Now, I need to regroup a bit. Thankfully, I still have a TM for Ice Beam, which I'd purchased from Mount Battle but was saving in case something went wrong, which it did. I used most of my remaining Poke coupons on a TM for Psychic, which I teach to Elmira the Stantler, and used the Ice Beam TM on Terra, who was already going to be a main part of my strategy for this battle. I lead with those two, and Ein sends out Golbat and Lantern. Oh, I guess he doesn't always lead with the same 2 Pokemon. Okay then. Sure enough, Golbat outspeeds and hits Elmira with a Confused Ray. A held Person Berry cures the confusion, and Elmira retaliates her with Psychic. Looking at how much damage this did, Lightning or Rains could have easily one-shot this, but all well. Lantern sets up Rain Dance, but Quagsire destroys it with Earthquake. I know I'm risking Elmira here to a crit Earthquake, but this Lantern cannot be allowed to live another turn. It's absolutely terrifying in this battle. Ein sends in Huntail next, presumably to take advantage of Swift Swim, which is a relief, because his Altaria does have Pursuit. I swap in Yuna to read Water-type moves from Huntail, and my 2 Pokemon are able to kill Huntail and Golbat. Last up are Raikou and Altaria. I know Raikou will use Thunder, so I swap Yuna for Fang, who's immune to both Thunder and Earthquake. There's a moment of absolute fear as Iron's Altaria uses Ice Beam, but thankfully that went after Quagsire. If that Ice Beam had been targeting Yuna, Fang would have instantly died on the switch. As it is, my Earthquake kills Raikou, and I'm able to read another Ice Beam by swapping a Noctis before killing Altaria with one of my own. And that's I'm defeated. Terra, you absolutely carried this battle. Good job. I'm rewarded with the TM for Earthquake, which I instantly use on Fang, and then Cypher's Realgum Tower opens, where I have to fight the admins all over again. I fight Mirror B first, who was thankfully pretty easy. Yuna actually carried most of this battle, using Hidden Power and Bubble Beam to take down its Ludicolo and Aggron. A note about Hidden Power for those of you not familiar. Hidden Power is a move with a random base power and typing for each Pokemon who uses it, based on that Pokemon's individual values, or IVs for their stats. I had a lot of fun while grinding a while back trying to figure out what everyone's hidden power typing was, since I saw TMs for it down in the under. Yuna ended up having a hidden power of flying with slightly higher base power than her wing attack, so I used that as my primary flying type move. Most of my other hidden power typings don't really matter here, except Noctis has hidden power Ice, which will definitely matter later. Dakim was a bit harder. His Wish Cache is only weak to grass type moves, and unfortunately it knows Ice Beam, so it's hard to use Rydia or Fang in this fight. I end up trying to sacrifice Elmira to get a kill on it, but for some reason the AI goes for double protect and lands it, so I sacrificed Elmira for no reason. Eventually Yuna and Rydia are able to kill it, and after that the rest of the battle is pretty smooth sailing for my dragon types. I add Waka back to my party and take on Venus. She stalls a lot with Attract and other status conditions, so I have to swap Pokemon around a lot, but eventually I'm able to get Fang into a position where she can kill Misdreavus, and then it's all over as she Earthquakes with impunity. Ein was also pretty easy this time around. He stalls with Toxic and Fly a lot, but he doesn't pose a terrible challenge to Terra's Earthquakes and Ice Beams. Finally, I can proceed further into the tower, and I catch his Terracross, who I use my other Time Flute on. I name her Yuffie. From there, it's just a lot of grinding before I fight my old boss Gonzap, whose Pokemon are generally in the level 52-53 range. I get a little greedy and take on Mount Battle Area 8, but I make a dumb mistake right at the area leader, who leads with a Hariyama and a Cacturne. I'm pretty familiar with Cacturne from a hardcore Nuzlocke I did at Pokemon Sapphire. They're powerful, but pretty frail, and slow, and Terra has Ice Beam, so I should be fine. Well... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, that's bad. That's very bad. I keep forgetting they have Fake Out. Oh no. Please tell me I survive this. Oh no! Crud, that is so bad. Oh, come on. I also lose Fang the same battle to a combination of poison damage and Hydro Pump, so I have no Earthquake users left in my party. I gave Rydia Fire Blast and chose to challenge Gonzap anyway because I figured that she and Yuffie can deal with most of his team. Thankfully, I was right, but unfortunately, I misjudged the health bars when trying to catch its Skarmory and it killed itself with recoil damage. Not good. It also killed Lonnie, so yeah. I managed to get a team together without losing anybody else, but I'm gonna be honest, this is really not what I wanted going into the Tower Colosseum. Waka finally gets a permanent spot in the party, and I purify the Gligar I caught a while back. My brother was in the chat as I was doing this, and he requested that I name him Dustin, after a character from this Final Fantasy manga he read, so I did. I also got a TM for Flamethrower, which I give to Rydia in place of Fire Blast for better accuracy. I wasn't able to get Poke Coupons for another Ice Beam, or I could have taught that to Yuna, but I'll have to make do with Hidden Power Ice from Noctis. Noctis and Rydia are basically my main hopes for this finale. If I lose either of them, the run is likely over. The Tower Colosseum is going to be tough. It has 6 battles, and the first 4 are all fought in a row without healing. Thankfully, those are lower than the level cap, but still going to be tough. I then get immediately challenged by Nazcur, and then immediately after that I have to fight Nazcur's boss, Evice, whose Pokemon are all in the level 60-61 range. I do get healed before and after Nazcur, but this means I don't get to adjust my starting Pokemon or held items between battles, which is not ideal. Everything I do has to be optimized for all 6 battles. I lead the Colosseum with Noctis and Yuffie. 3 of the 4 Colosseum challengers are normal, dark, and grass types, so Yuffie has type advantage against all of them. Noctis is bulky enough to survive 4 battles in a row without healing, and he also counterfeits half of Nazcur's team, so these are the best front 2 I could ask for. Again, the first battler is normal type, which is pretty easy for my team, except Yuffie gets hit by a hard aerial ace. Second one is dark type, which again, pretty easy, but the third challenger is fire types, the one battler where Yuffie isn't very useful. I try to use the strat of baiting them into attacking Yuffie while she uses Endure to tank any damage, while I swap Noctis out for Yuna. But then, I saw the Torkoal come out. Hold on, wait. I saw Torkoal. Oh, wait, you got burned? We just lost Yuffie. You've got to be kidding me. That's a loss I really don't need right now. We pull through the rest of the fight just fine, and again, Noctis can do just fine against grass types with hidden power ice, but I cannot afford more losses here. Nazcur comes out and leads with Gardevoir and Xatu. Because I get healed right before this battle, the game puts Yuffie in, but she's dead, so I have to swap her out. I'm expecting both of Nazcur's Pokemon to use a Psychic move on Yuffie, so I swap in Yuna for her incredible special defense. Unfortunately, Gardevoir crits a Psychic, leaving Yuna in the red, so I swap her for Dustin. Noctis and Dustin take down the Gardevoir, but then Blaziken comes out, who has type advantage against Noctis. This would be a great time for Yuna not to be in critical condition. Instead, I swap in Rydia, which would be fine, except Walrein comes out as Dustin kills Xatu. Walrein can absolutely one-shot Rydia, but I don't have a very safe way to deal with both Walrein and Blaziken at once, since again, Yuna is in critical condition. So here's what I end up doing. I have Rydia use Fly on Blaziken, which gives her immunity for a turn, as I swap Dustin for Waka, who's my only hope to one-shot the Walrein. Waka has Thick Fat, so he's able to take a Blaze Kick and an Ice Beam like a champ, but next turn, Walrein can absolutely kill Rydia after Fly lands, and Vital Throw always goes last, so I can't use that here. So I have to bet on landing a Cross Chop, which is only 80% accurate. If I miss, I likely lose the entire run right there. Rydia lands a critical hit Fly and one-shots Blaziken, and then... Waka? No! No, 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 no. Please, please no. It's over. Yeah, there's almost no way I can win now. I'm forced to use the Master Ball on Nazcur's Shadow Metagross just so I don't lose another Pokemon, but now I'm 2 Pokemon down going into Evice. He leads with Salamence, which is an ideal match for Noctis because of Hidden Power Ice. Unfortunately, he also leads with Machamp, who has type effectiveness on Noctis. If I'd been able to get another TM for Ice Beam for Yuna, or if Rydia was still alive, I would have been able to swap them in to read a fighting type move and have them go against Salamence. As it is, I don't think I can afford to swap, so I have to bet on Noctis being able to survive. Hidden Power does put Salamence in the yellow, which is great, but unfortunately Machamp doesn't miss Cross Chop, and my Prince Noctis goes down. After that, I get destroyed. Because my 2 dead Pokemon are healed, I'm forced to put them into battle and just waste their turns by spamming Call, so Yuna has some breathing room to work, and she's able to finish off both Salamence and Machamp, and almost kills Caesar, but a Swords Dance boosted Silverwind kills her too. And that concludes the run. Honestly, I think it really ended when I lost Rydia. I bet on an 80% accurate move landing, and that 20% miss rate won out. I've seen better odds fail though, so it's not terribly surprising, and it's not fair to blame the entire run on that one gamble, because it ignores all the dumb mistakes that I made leading up to that point. Looking back at the losses that I took leading up to this, only 2 of them were sacrifices I needed to make against tougher foes. Most of the others were just me making dumb mistakes while grinding. If I had played things safer and been more patient when grinding, I could have brought a much stronger team into the finale. But then I would have still lost Heracross the same way, and I wouldn't have had a very easy answer to Walrein anyhow, so who knows. There ultimately isn't a very good out for the situation I put myself in, and I take full ownership for the fact that I put myself in it. It's still disappointing to have gotten that close, but given that this was my first Nuzlocke attempt on this game, that went way better than I could have, and I learned a lot from my failed attempt. I also had a lot of support along the way as I did this, and I really appreciate it. This isn't going to be the end of the Pokemon Colosseum Nuzlocke either. If the Lord wills it, I'm going to take the lessons that I learned from this run and come back stronger than ever. If you want to see me try this again, please consider subscribing to me here on YouTube and or following my Twitch if you want to see me do it live. Unfortunately, for now, this is the best I can show you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.